My report on the Common Organisation of the Market on Fisheries and Aquaculture Products has now been debated in the full plenary session in Strasbourg and is about to be voted on. I anticipate overwhelming support for this report. It went through the committee with a huge majority, in fact only one abstention. There have been some interesting debates. We had quite a sharp exchange of views between the President in Office of the Council, the Fisheries Minister from Cyprus, Mr. Mavroyiannis, and also with Mrs. Damanaki, the Commissioner. Mrs. Damanaki was adamant that the Commission position on labelling, which was one of the key parts of my report, she said that products which are caught fresh by artisanal small fishing vessels, the date of catch should be mandatory and appear on the label. In my report, I changed that to say the date of catch should be voluntary and that the date of landing should be mandatory. And the Council have agreed with me, and Mr. Mavroyiannis, during the debate in Strasbourg, said that he fully agreed with this, and he explained why. He said it's potentially discriminatory against vessels which go to sea for 2 or 3 days, who catch their fish and put them on ice, so they're frozen or they're kept fresh on liquid ice. If they land their catch and say that the fish was caught 3 or 4 days previously, compared to a small open boat that goes out, catches a fish, it's lying in the sun the whole day in the Mediterranean, then it comes back to port that evening, but can label that fish as caught today, then the consumer can be confused. The consumer can think that this fish which has been lying in the sun for several hours is a better product than the fish which has been kept beautifully fresh on liquid ice for 3 or 4 days. We are not objecting to having voluntary labelling of the date of catch, but for consumer information it's much more important, and that's why my report said this, that we should have the mandatory date of landing of fish products and the voluntary date of catch. So this has become a bit of an interesting dispute between the Commission and the Council and the Parliament. The Council agree with the Parliament on this. The Commission seem to be at loggerheads. But the rest of my report was, I think, offering some interesting signposts for the way ahead for the whole reform of the Common Fisheries Policy, looking at the issue of discards and pointing to the fact that we must put a lot of emphasis into bycatch reduction. This is going to be the main point. We need funding from the EMFF, the budget, to pay for new technical measures that can help fishermen avoid catching unwanted fish. There is no point having discards which are going to be dumped at sea and simply banning that and then dumping them on land. You know, we need to avoid catching unwanted fish altogether, and that's been the main emphasis in my report. My report also talks about the need to achieve maximum sustainable yields, the need for producer organisations across the whole of the EU to be given more power, and that comes through meaningful devolution of power, taking power away from the micromanagers in Brussels and devolving it down to the stakeholders themselves, to the member states, the regions and the producer organisations, who will have then a big say in the management of quota and the management of effort control, days at sea for the vessels that they manage. So I think it's been an interesting project, the entire work over the Common Organisation of the Market reform, and I hope that this will pave the way for a sustainable future for fisheries in the EU.